prepping it up to be as we go live with the bans now between these two teams.
Flores will be removed off rip from Mirage as XSET will get set up for their offensive bans as we fly into beautiful Italy here for Villa. What does XSET feel like taking away from this offensive unit? We've already got the Flores ban in and potentially a change out here for Diaz as he'll be coming back in momentarily, I would assume. Thatcher is going to get banned out on the offense just to slow down some of the takes when it comes to this hard breach. We'll see how they want to slow things down on the defensive end this time around.
Yep, probably going to finish the bans, guys. In case anyone's worried that we're not going to rehost this, we probably will. So we just want to finish up the bans more than likely before we potentially do anything like that. So bear with us here for a moment, and then we'll figure out how things are going to roll after this. So anyway, keeping the discussion going about the bans, pretty straightforward here so far. Well, Mai's going to follow it through and keep us on that track as he'll be removed out. And then we'll leave ourselves with just one more here for Mirage to remove, and they're going to be knocking out. Let's take a look and see. It's going to be Mirage, so no real huge surprises here when it comes to the ban pull on Villa.
Yeah, fairly straightforward when it comes to the bans here for Villa and green, and
we're live.
We're good as gold. We're back in. Mirage will be starting things off on AVG, and since we are done with the ban phase, yes indeed, folks, that means we will have a zombie back into play here for Playday 2 of the NAL, as Benji will be piloting this character throughout round 1.
Obviously, we didn't see her much in our first matchup, but she was banned out by the Sonics. Not one going to have to play against that. Still did not help to save them, though, in their initial matchup, as, spoiler alert, they ended up losing that game, as TSM was able to come out of the gates, on their attacking side at least, swing it with some absolutely beautiful assaults. Was able to take quick control because of that. Away from that, ladies and gentlemen, as we move into this next game, of course, things are going to continue to move towards, well, their team's favor here, as we're still at the very start of it. Mirage giving us a pretty straightforward opening setup here on AVG. Unfortunately, will fall victim, though, in a very peculiar position, as we're going to see Kino get the first kill of the game here against Marm.
That had to have been from the study window. That study window through the soft breach panel and then killing Marm inside of bar. That's the one thing about Siege, is sometimes when kills like this happen, it's like, all right, time to break out the protractor here and figure out this angle. Exact trajectory of these bullets.
Put up the police tape. We got to investigate this crime scene real quick.
Yeah, I always feel like a detective whenever that happens. We're gonna try and put it back together. I feel like
bring in CSI.
Exactly. I got to sit there and like close my eyes and let the room rebuild itself, see what happened there. But that's super unfortunate for Mirage. They're lacking their smoke quite early on. They're still going to have some forms of denial, mostly inside of the nitro cells, and some potential impacts if Benji wants to try and hurl that at a plant spot. But obviously, it's not going to be fatal damage, just some very serious damage unless somebody's already tagged up. But as you can see, XSET has been able to slow down their game plan overall because of that initial pick. They're just taking their time and seeing if they can potentially catch somebody off guard on this rotation, which would be Kento. He's actually standing on top of a drone at the current moment, so more than likely XSET is aware of his position. He's going to swing around. Almost a freebie there for Yogg, but he's going to miss the head by just a pixel as Kento will be able to get back into cover.
He's being primed on point and nearly manages to grab Nyx. This is on top of some massive damage being done to Benji also, so that's two more players virtually down already here. Just need another bullet to send them into an actual down state, and this is on top of another player being fully killed. Benji potentially going to be the next up to fall victim to that. Kino potentially getting saved there by a nice little juice up coming in from the Finka being played by Spirit, so that brings him back up to a more palatable amount of HP, and ultimately all left on to Nyx here. XSET have no problem knocking him out, though, as he's just a lone straggler against the entirety of the XSET roster. So they clean it up and get a flawless round to start things out here on Villa.
15 minutes ago, XSET were practically partying inside of this room with a massive JBL speaker and eating food, and now we're at a time where they're decimating Mirage.
I feel like that speaker might still be going in the back of the room.
I feel like it is, dude. They're just back there listening to Pop Smoke right now. It's like
production was like, all right, you need to get that thing out of frame though. But
oh my gosh,
otherwise they're jamming it.
They got everything, man. They got every Chicago drill rapper on right now in the background of this, dude. I'm telling you. But XSET, I mean, they're looking as right as ever. I mean, there's really not too much to talk on this. If you guys watch the Charlotte Major at all, this is just prime XSET. This is what they do. They decimate defenses, especially when it comes to a lot of their game plans, and nothing's changing up just yet. I think the only thing that's changed up from yesterday is that Spirits didn't kill 3 people in this round.
Definitely one of the most in-your-face teams that we have in the league right now with regards to how aggressively they tend to play things out. So no surprise they pull off the same exact thing here at the very start of the game, getting that immediate pick against, I believe it was a Marm inside of the site from their rappel outside of Study, and then following it through with a nice clinical clear, not giving Mirage an inch inside of this scenario here. There's a lot needing to be made up by Mirage. They are indeed going to give up the AVG hold, transition over towards our secondary upstairs site. We will, of course, see the extension into AVG, which is going to be defended probably by at least 1 to 2 players on the squad to waste time, as XSET will try to clear this. But otherwise, of course, the defense will fall heavily into that trophy, as well as Astro Rooms as we reach the later point of this round.
Doesn't look like we have any mute jammers on this triple wall here for Statue. With XSET's offensive lineup here, this is looking more like a direct route towards that part of the building. They more than likely aren't going to want to try and deal with any positioning over towards AVG, but we'll just have to see. Have to deal with Kento down low as well, so the potential for the player in kitchen to be punished is pretty high. Gomez is actually going to end up hopping inside a pantry. That was why you saw that silhouette fall down. Nobody paying attention to the hatches either. That's a really big misstep there from XSET, and one that we don't see too often.
Nick's going to be able to get away with one as a result of that, so Spirits goes down. That means no mid-round boost to the health pools of XSET either, because the Fink has been removed. Should also mean, as a result of that, that the 6th set of nades that we saw from XSET initially is going to be brought down just to 4 here, as Spirits will not be given an opportunity to use those. Yaga, though, has made up for the player difference now by picking up an exchange against Kento, more than likely roaming around here in the basement as well. That removes the Valkyrie from play, and like I said before, evens us out into a 4v4.
Well, the good news for Mirage is that they're holding a lot of space across the map, but that also allows XSET some options to get some picks later on in this round as well, depending on what the defensive matrix is built up like. Do they have any supporting angles for these members? Exactly what is being dedicated to these spaces to make it to where they can actually survive the night? Well, for XSET, it's going to be back to the drone game to try and discover some of these positions that we were just talking about as they're attempting to clear out some of the positions down low as well as around Master. One of them will indeed tag up one of the Prismas here from Alibi. As Marmalade will bounce back and forth between this and the concrete door for Master. Almost a beautiful shot there from the AK-12 as a singular bullet rings out, but won't land true. He's going to hop inside of Master now as Marmalade will tag up Gomez. He'll re-peek here. This could get pretty dicey for these team members, but oh, beautiful shots from both members as Marmalade swings back into 2 separate guns on one angle.
Gomez going to be able to push things into the favor of XSET now with that pickup here. Marmalade now out for the count, not going to be able to help things out anymore with those aggressive swings from the Alibi. Nades cooking out directly onto Nyx's head as well. He just barely is able to get out of range of that one, thankfully. Keeps himself in the fight, however, and now ready to fend off some of the pressure coming back in as Benji also strikes true, I believe, from the inside of Statue, where indeed he's going to be able to find at least one pickup. Gara gets himself onto the board here too with one, so XSET need to fight a little bit harder this time to get their W onto the board here, as they've only been able to bring it down to a 2v1, and that assumes too that Benji is not going to be revived. Probably a safe bet, considering of Gara's current position here, and as well, considering the time that is remaining in the round. But still, XSET need to isolate him, get themselves into the site. Oh, no! And they'll be able to do that. Gara thinking that maybe he wasn't spotted out as he saw the head from Diaz, but indeed, Diaz was able to spot him too. He picks up the kill, and XSET get the round.
It's so unfortunate. The last little hop up from that clamber ends up just seeing the top of Christian's head laying down inside of Trophy. And this right here, folks, this is what you'll tend to see, especially when it comes to like subbing in for like a coach or something like that, when it comes down to some more of those clutch moments where you just try and play it out on time and try and play it quite safe. Now, that's the thing about pro play. When you are stagnant in what you're doing and you're not exactly too active, it's pretty easy to punish you. I mean, they do have a million different places to check, and if they do misstep into that room, then Christian more than likely gets one and has a really, really good shot of taking that round. But unfortunately enough, they clear out in an unfortunate way for the Mirage defense and end up winning the round instead. XSET with a very quick 2-0 here to begin us on Villa.
XSET starting things out with a lot of promise, and as well an interesting repick if Kino ends up locking it in. I'll kind of hold off on talking about it more. Yeah, we had a Kali being soft locked there for a second. Definitely would have been a point of conversation, but he's gone back on it over towards the ace. So nothing really to bring up there. Is obviously Kali is not an operator we get to see brought out very often at all. I'd say she's in the bottom 5 of attacker picks, if not lower than that potentially.
Well, XSET out and onto the field. They'll be attacking AVG for the second time around. And that means Mirage with the double defense on this, just shifting things over to Trophy and Statue area to try and get something done on this defensive side. Started out with some promise, but XSET quickly brought it back and winning it out in the 1v2 situation when it came down to it. So now for them, they have to try and reinsert themselves when it comes to this take. Last time around, we just saw XSET really decimate the site setup and eventually rotate around down the entirety of this part of the building and take out a lot of Mirage's stragglers that were around 90, as well as Skull Door. Speaking of stragglers, we're going to have Kento off on an extended hold here for Concrete. He's going to be holding things down on Master. Spirits is going to pick up Guerra. And now, with that being said, it looks like they've already got most of the control when it comes to this area. I mean, it's super unfortunate for Christian. I believe he got taken down at the top of main. That's going to be both of those ADSs gone. They don't have a Wamai either, and with Nyx dead, this is already looking like an XSET round.
It's an XSET just able to snowball their way into a winning position, it seems.
Oh no! That's amazing!
So unfortunate for Spirits, as he was priming a nade as he went down, meaning a nade was left in his hands. XSET have already made up the difference, though, and are just leaving Benji off on an island here. He can't escape it. Gomez strands him there, and it's XSET, the lock-in number 3.
You know, I'm not gonna talk too much on Mirage for this game. I'm just gonna let you at home know, just because of the situation.
They've got a fill-in, and they had maybe like 2 to 3 hours notice that they were gonna be playing with a fill-in.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Absolutely.
So,
and even yesterday, they had a really good game against TSM. And if you guys watched that game yesterday, I just want to remind you, Melton was not feeling great during that game. He was not. He is not playing today due to how he was feeling and the discovery of that. You know, he really couldn't do anything in this kind of environment. So, you know, coming into this and with Christian playing, I don't really think we're going to be seeing the best of the best when it comes to Mirage and what they've been working on, which again, super unfortunate. They've had some very recent roster changes, so not being able to continue to work on things and evaluate your progress as a team is definitely something that they're going to want back, but just unfortunate circumstances for them at the end of the day, especially going up against a team like XSET. This is not a team where you don't want your full power to try and take them out, because you can see what the results are already looking like.
Like the desk was saying, Mirage potentially just going to use this as a pseudo-scrim to an extent, more than likely, where they just kind of try out their strats, try to exercise it across the map as heavily as possible, and then ultimately, at least with the way that things are currently going, they will probably end up on the losing end of it. But we'll have to wait and see. We have seen, at least in round 2, a moment of hope for them, as actually we're doing a pretty good job of contending, at least inside of the site fight at the end of the round. But XSET as well was able to kind of take a moment back, restabilize things, and still end up coming out on top of it. So we're still looking for that clutch moment to show up from Mirage, where they're able to negotiate at least a few rounds onto the board here, but at the moment it is very much an XSET-sided game.
You can already tell XSET as well is starting to adapt their play style on this offensive side to what Mirage is doing, and this is a beautiful thing to see. You know, even though you're up 3-0 and it's a game that has the circumstances that are going on right now, you want to continue to sharpen that blade and sharpen your mind when it comes to Siege overall, and that's exactly what they're doing. They continue to play at full power when it comes to this offensive end. They're not treating it like anything else except a match, and it's working really well for them. They're going to work in the Jackal as well as the Dokkaebi. This is going to help them with their clear. You can see Spirits has already called once, and that allows the entire offensive unit of XSET to start taking in from the AVG side. Look at this clear. Look at this positioning of XSET already, and that's all due to the Doke call. Marmalade's already dead. Gyaro will at least tag somebody up, but XSET already hot to trot when it comes through this top clear.
It's going to be Yaga, brought down to about 50% HP. Guerra still trying to escape with his life here as he's now stranded inside of the master bedroom area, trying to catch at least one member hopping back in over the rappel here. Unfortunately, it's going to be hard to do that. The Dokkaebi call is coming. He's going to get some support, actually, from Benji as he rotates up through the Astro stairs, but it just leads to a 1-2 exchange. Benji gets one going. Kento's able to steal one away as well. So this is still actually a palatable situation for Mirage here. Wild positioning being played out by them at this point, though, with another member of their only 2-member roster now extending out to potentially play aggressively from Astro stairs. Case looks like it was down, too, but I'm pretty sure in a position that XSET does control, so I doubt that's a major issue for them at this point. However, we'll wait and see over the next few seconds how it potentially continues to evolve.
Yes, indeed. And if you think Jackal is annoying, usually, he's way more annoying when it comes down to positions like this. Nyx is running out. Oh, Yaga!
A drop shot!
Nyx tries for it. He sprints through China, and he's gunned down by the quick prone. It's down to Kento to try and pick up the pieces. New member up from Mirage. He knows where one is, but it's a quick adjustment here for the member of XSET. Kento will at least be able to get one. Still has some stimmies in his back pocket as well, and he'll use those quickly to make sure he's at full HP, full capacity to be able to try and handle this situation. Definitely a winnable one at the end of the day if he can land some crucial shots. Do 1 versus 2. Has to know this cross angle's being held as well as he works his way into kitchen. Knows this player's on Tetris as he's trying to deal with both of them, but Diaz too quick to the trigger all the way back inside of Memorial.
Last round there, so really trying to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at at XSET right now, but unfortunately just not really working out as XSET continues to win these out. Currently leading 4-0 over the Mirage scoreline here. A lot of repicks showing up for Mirage as a result of that tactical pause. At least 3 members of the squad changing things up, rather 2 technically, because Garrett doesn't actually change his operator. He just ends up on the same one as he'll bring the cap can into the fold for this one. Maybe trying to capitalize on the kind of haphazard style of play that XSET are bringing to bear right now, so that may actually work out pretty well if XSET aren't going to be checking their corners. Aside from that, though, a few other trap operators coming in, as you'll see on Marmalade as well.
I like this a whole heck of a lot more for Mirage, not playing the site nearly as open as it once was, and this is going to force XSET to actually have to clear things and get these walls open, whereas before they had a lot of angles that they could already abuse because Mirage wanted to try and fight back against things like the Master take, but it played more into XSET's hands than they initially thought, so they're going to make some adjustments as well as bringing in that cap can that John was talking about. This is going to pair really well with Marmalade's Thorn. Then really is just going to focus on slowing down both of these teams. These EDDs have always been a very solid choice when it comes to trying to, get rid of a very fast offensive unit, try and slow them down, force them to check all of those different door frames and everything else in between when it comes down to it. Christian's still going to have one of those EDDs in his back pocket, so we'll see if that gets allocated later on. Also, DS Lucas with the Hulk setup, if I do say so myself. Nix,
oh no,
love seeing it. This is exactly what we want, some aggressive play style, as XSET not really aware that Mirage also has an M&K, and they can hit some windows and do some aggressive plays themselves. Oh, Benji as well, going to take down Yaga. Mirage finally showing some signs of life.
Mirage is definitely doing so here as well. XSET's early advance is going to be absolutely shut down by the Mirage defense here, as both Yaga and Diaz are caught out with no real chance to respond to it. Not a single point of damage going back on to the members of Mirage, and as we saw at least in one of these players' case, not even going to be able to see it coming as they'll be caught on drone. Kenza will continue the streak here for Mirage as they're finally shutting down this play outright from XSET here, not letting them get anything done whatsoever, as suddenly it's down to just Gomez and Spirits here. Gomez trying to line up a good nade upstairs, but it's a little off the mark, so it just does about 10 to 20 damage to 2 different players. Goes for it on a second one, and now as well, just going to get randomly shot at from the top-down angle. Nothing opened up that would have allowed the players on Mirage to see Gomez either. Just a lucky shot, but it's enough to scare Gomez away, and he will back up over towards Laundry here to try and reset his position, while Spirits is going to attempt to push in by Bicycle.
XSET getting a touch too comfortable this round and being punished for it severely by Mirage. Still have some opportunity though, as we've seen from Spirits. He is not afraid of taking a multitude of gunfights and decimating an opposing squad. He's got quite the position to do it at the current moment as well, as he's working his way in through benches. Marmalade though, will be playing things pretty tight-knit next to the Wolf door. Gomez going to be able to take down one, Spirits with the other, and he's going to be able to heal himself back up. This is what I was really worried about. He's going to continue to check these angles. They do have a flank coming through from Mirage. They could end up picking up one of these kills, but don't know if they have any insight on that location. Gomez now warmed up for his potential first death here, as he is currently 10-0-3, has no info on this player. Should be relatively easy for Kento, and that'll be Mirage's first round.
Mirage, a definitive stance finally going onto the board after 4 straight rounds for XSET. We'll see if this is a turn of the tides potentially, or just a passing wave, as Mirage once again still look to try and solidify themselves, pick up as many rounds as they can here, despite the circumstances they are currently facing against. For those who are unaware, of course, they are missing a mainstay member of their roster, as he unfortunately has a positive COVID diagnosis and is not feeling the best right now. So he had to step out for today, and their coach Garrett is filling in, trying to make up the difference here. But as you're seeing, XSET still in control the large majority of these rounds, but that tac pause doing wonders for Mirage as they flip that story completely on its head and give themselves a fairly one-sided round up until the 2vx there.
Yes, indeed. And, you know, that's also just the scary thing about XSET. Look at the opportunity that they still had there inside of that 2v5. You know, you have one more thing, just a singular thing go wrong for Mirage, and that has a lot of potential to yet again be an XSET round instead of 5-0. But fortunately enough for Mirage, they're able to stick to their guns and take the round there near the tail end. Now it's a 4-1 lead instead of a 5-0 for XSET. They're going to sit back onto the Dokkaebi here as Spirit slinks back over to that. Let me making sure to fit the Fink in when it comes to the lineup, though, as well. These are very solid choices. We've been seeing her time and time again in the last 9 months, and we'll continue to do so until these LMGs get patched.
So XSET looking to make up for that dropped round and still give themselves a very, very definitive 5-1 scoreline. And Mirage, of course, looking to prevent that. Very spread out setup here to start things out on their kitchen defense with, of course, that emphasis on the living room downstairs here being played out by Kento and to some extent Benji too, although Benji's fallback is more than likely going to be directly into the site play instead of having to go all the way around into the living room to support his teammate here. You'll see he'll have the window blocked off by the Keep of Barricades, but will not be able to pre-fire his opponent immediately upon its destruction. Should have another one, though, to chuck right back on there and continue to deny any potential entry from XSET here.
I mean, if I'm DS, I just keep taking this. If you're going to keep handing over the Kiba barriers, then I'll just punch them off a mud window so you can't use them in a more influential part of the map later on. That's going to be 2 of those blades already down. Benji's got 2 in his pocket, which means he has 1 more on the way. Benji already getting tagged up as well. Spirits is still alive as he uses his first phone call. Kendo, luckily enough, will be able to heal up Benji if he so chooses. There's a lot of different angles that XSET as well as Mirage have to worry about, though. Look at the amount of openings that there are around this area. There's only 10 people in the entirety of the map, 5 on each team, obviously, and there's way more angles than all of the people that exist currently in this map. So could be some mismanagement. It's all going to be on the timing in between these 2 squads as to see who has the leading blow on the other squad. Kento leaning into this library peak, but he'll get taken down by Spirits. An ill-advised swing will get him killed, and now Christian with an opportunity, but he's going to lose it out on the back end as well. Won't die, but won't be able to find the kill either.
Marm going to be dropping down, advancing back from that upstairs position as they no longer need to maintain it here. It's also a huge risk to continue doing so, especially with Benji being in a bit of a hot spot right now over here towards the Astros stairs. Yaga more than ready for the swing from Marm. Still trying to look for Benji, though, as the intended target. They'd already got damage onto him from before, but they find Marm by accident as she attempts to move out and refrag the damage done to Benji. Doesn't work out, meaning XSET has primed themselves for the execute again as they bring it down to a 5v3.
A little slow, but Benji will be able to take down Yaga as he did reposition himself into Pantry. Nice pickup from him. It makes it to where this is a little bit easier for Mirage, but as soon as I say that, Nyx will get taken out inside of Laundry. Diaz with a very sneaky play back into Pantry as well, as it's all down to Christian yet again. You have to feel for the coach in this situation. He'll get gunned down from Diaz. It'll be XSET with a 5-1 lead. A very smooth one at that. It's been a cool, calm, and collected XSET the entirety of this half, including the round that they lost. No sweat on these brows.
Rough play there for Benji specifically, as you saw him just inching his way out into Pantry, trying to get one more fight going his way, but could not make it happen, as he was playing his heart out there, trying to defend like 3 different positions on that site, especially after all of his teammates had gone down. Just no room left to play into that scenario, and ends up overpeaking just a slight amount into a member of XSET who was more than ready to take him down. So XSET continue to lead here, 5-1 in their favor. Just need 2 rounds on this defensive half, and the game is theirs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, those rounds, especially some of the later rounds, it really did feel like Mirage was just bearing it all to XSET. Like, yeah, everything's open. We're just trying to take gunfights, and I guess we'll just see where the cards lie at the end of the round. And that's really the environment that XSET thrives in. I really don't think it was necessarily the best choice, especially with some of the later round decisions, like from the likes of Nyx. I mean, XSET has all of their manpower still up, and you're sitting inside of Laundry. They more than likely still have drones. They're going to search that area, you know. So some of those like one-off positions that Mirage have been adopting into their play just haven't been working out for them. And if anything, it's been something that XSET has been able to exploit to push themselves even further into the round, and while maintaining not only their advantage, but pushing themselves farther ahead.
All right, time to see if Mirage, the side flip, will change things up for them, give them that little bit of a confidence boost they need to pick up a few more rounds, maybe even run for the comeback, but ultimately XSET going to get quick control over this matchup, especially under the circumstances, and we'll see if they're going to be able to do that. Yaga just casually shutting down Kento as he's out in the open, ready to take on anyone who would challenge him. And he does find a target, and unfortunately for the Mirage roster, it's probably one of the most impactful ones when it comes to utility as well. Finka, meaning no mid-round boost-ups on the health pools, and 2 nades also down before a chance to use them is given.
He made the most ill-advised thing you can when you're playing Siege Online. He held an angle, John. He immediately died for it. Can't be doing that.
Oh, Nyx wants to test it now.
Yes, he does indeed. Gomez also playing around a stairwell here. Nyx actually going to back off and he'll apply the drone instead. Benji's going to try and come in and help him. He'll be able to successfully achieve that. Skino will go down. That's going to be the smoke player gone as he swings wide on the main stairwell.
Evening things out at least, keeping it in a close match right now. But Yaga wants to shut down all of this pressure from Art Studio's side, and it seems like he wants a piece of the main door action too. Benji ready for that challenge in the meantime. Marm trying to push somewhere upstairs. If I'm looking at the case position correctly, and she ended up going down there, potentially over towards Study, but she's going to end up falling just outside of the window there. Another one knocked out. That's also the hard breach gone. Keep a barricades just chucked out. And really
Yogg's just free balling it. He's just like, you know, this character's kind of cool. I'm just chucking these things. He hit the stairwell. It did nothing. He throws the other one. It doesn't even block the
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they both just went onto the wall.
Oh,
so
gosh. I mean, at least Yaga can shoot straight. That's really what matters at the end of the day when it comes to Siege. But
he's playing around with these. He's trying to see what works.
Yeah, it's a new op. She's a lot of fun. I can't blame him for having a good time and just like picking it up. You know, those Kiba barricades are going to continue to be a nuisance for the offensive unit. Speaking of being a nuisance, XSET has done a pretty bang-up job of that this round. They constantly are getting kills on Mirage without a refrag. Benji will finally be able to find one that's unrefraggable from XSET as he'll take down Spirits, who hasn't been having the best game in comparison to what he was doing yesterday. Benji, though, has somebody to deal with in 90, but as soon as I say that, XSET's actually going to back off more towards site. They don't want to give up any more bodies when it comes down to this low time situation as Benji starts clearing things out to try and forward Mirage's position.
Mirage starting to get a little low on time here. 30 seconds remaining. They still need to get back case control if they're going to be looking to get a plant instead of just ending this on a DM, essentially. Gomez ready to check out the Nitro, but he's about 5 seconds too late. Still actually gets about half the health pool off of Gara, though, so not too bad at the end of the day. So he'll be brought down low. And well, yes, Gara will sneak off that kill against Gomez. He and his other teammate will be traded out, giving the round over to XSET and leaving them with only one more needed to lock in this match.
Man, if my house is on fire, I hope DS is on call, because that was like the most instantaneous refrag ever. This guy's call time is incredible. I mean, look at this. Watch. Kristen gets his kill, literally 2 seconds later, dead. Just, he's still trying to put a new magazine in his gun, for God's sakes. Poor guy. But XSET making mincemeat of Mirage here on Villa. Hopefully he'll pair very nicely with some spaghetti later on from XSET. But 6-1 is the scoreline in between these two. They're going to be going to trophy and statuary to try and seal the deal here and take a clean 3 points here on the second day of the NAL. XSET yet again looking like a team that will be hotly contested throughout most of this stage, trying to vie for that first position. It feels like we have quite a few teams that are going to be clashing throughout the stage. Stage 2 of the NAL, John, it's really warming up to be potentially the biggest stage you have ever had inside of North America. And that's even including like back when we used to call this Pro League, you know, and we used to, you know, just have an entirely different format in which we did these things. So it's pretty incredible that, you know, all the way in the year 2022 with Siege being what, released in 2015, that we can have such a season like we're having right now.
Absolutely the case. Things definitely keeping themselves competitive, as we saw in our first matchup. This one as well, starting to amp things up, although the scoreline doesn't necessarily reflect it as, wow, Yaga wasting no time with his peek out here from the front door, or the art studio window area, I believe is how that would have had to play out. As again, man, Kento, and again on the Finka too. 2 rounds in a row now, the Finka has been dusted within the first 30 seconds of the round. Complete denial of that utility, as Mirage is just not even going to get a hope of being able to use it.
I literally looked at my notes and looked up, and Kento's already dead. This is, oh no. Oh, DS.
Okay, so
DS,
it's this game now. Yeah.
No, not the default cam call. That's the worst thing that you want to see. Master side. DS, Lucas. I'm gonna tell you right now, if there was a team that I could just be a part of energy-wise, it would be XSET. I totally vibe with this energy so much. It's like, guys, you're not even doing the most default thing. Like, it's literally a camera that's been in the same spot for 4 years. Yeah, come on. Come on. Oh, Yaga, not again. Please, please. They've been punished enough. Mirage, I mean, like, I don't know how many Hail Marys they got to say to get out of this situation, man. It's just been very poor from them. Unfortunate circumstances once again for this series, but XSET taking it to them in every sense of the term.
Given the situation, once again, for those who are not aware, Mirage is currently playing with a fill-in, and they had, as far as we're aware at least, minimal time to prepare to play with a fill-in, so there's not really a whole lot we can throw on Mirage for this type of scoreline right now. They're just kind of vibing with it, and we do respect them for that,
as much as you can.
Yeah, pretty much as much as you can here, as they're having a good time in the chat, at least. But Mirage potentially being pushed to the end of their rope here over the next minute and 15 seconds. We'll see if they can make up the deficit from a
they're coming for him.
4v5. That's aggressive, but he can't even hear the pressure boiling down the Astro stairs. Kino comes stomping in with that shotgun. Gomez catching out Marm's position down below as well here. So XSET just rolling into him at this point here. Benji is able to fend off the aggression and finally shut down Kino at least. Their other player needing to pick up the pace though and work their way back in. There's an opening for Guerra, but he's missed the opportunity to actually take out the player. Corrects on it, however, and does manage to successfully knock out Gomez. Tiesto inside of the connector will trade it back out against Guerra. Benji now left alone, and he will be outwitted here by Spirits. XSET lock in the 7-1 victory and take home the W here today.
Man, somebody's got to fix the coin. I don't know what's going on with it. It's a big Mirage supporter, but not picking Mirage on the best of days. XSET will take the dub 7-1 in convincing fashion. Looking as solid as